let's draft some thoughts. The first big idea that we definitely want to highlight is the idea of evidence-based practices across academic, behavioral, and social emotional lenses, and really thinking about student strengths and needs. Definitely another piece I feel like would be cross-disciplinary teams. We want them to be thinking about those teams across the district, the school, the grade level, and even individual levels to really be thinking about that problem-solving process and what that team is going to be doing to initiate those processes.
Problem-solving, I like that too.
As we're thinking about that problem-solving, we're really thinking about an integrated and systematic use of data. To really be able to think about how we allocate resources to those multiple tiers in order to provide support as well as enrichment for our students. And then an integrated instruction and intervention. Really thinking about those varying intensities across the tiers and how we're going to respond based on student need. And of course, the big idea of all, that this is an effective framework for all students, moving all the way from our at-risk learners all the way through our advanced learners.
So although each of these kind of are single components that can stand alone on their own accord, we still want to stress that the tiers have an effect and a large part on each of these components, and that the output and input of data may look a little different depending on what we're talking about. So I think kind of the next thing that admin should really think about is kind of providing an overview of like the general steps of MTSS. So maybe we should kind of jot down the steps next, I think. So kind of our first step really is to really look at screening. So to screen, looking at not only the academic, but then also the social emotional well-being, as well as behavioral universal screeners that they're using already. Looking at the validity of them, looking at the reliability and fidelity of implementation of the screening. The second step would really be to respond. So using the screening results, looking at those and deciding, okay, is this a universal core team response that we should look at something core level, or are we looking at interventions for strategies for those advanced tier students? The third one to be is to monitor. I think monitoring student progress is important to talk about with your staff to really evaluate instruction and interventions with database decision making. And last but not least, really looking at kind of just improving. So improve, reflecting on the entire process for the team to really look at and make adjustments prior to their next screening point.
MTSS. The essential components of MTSS may be the same, regardless of grade level or context, but how they integrate that into the middle and high school processes will look different from that elementary model. Considering the multiple tiers of instruction, whether academic, behavioral, or social emotional emphasis, we approach the framework and processes the same way. The tiers of instruction, as we see up on our chart, is the high quality tier 1, high quality standards aligned core instruction for all students. Tier 2 being more intensified instruction for some of our students along with their tier 1. And then tier 3 being our most intensive services for our students who need the most intensive offerings in addition to their other tiers.
Wow, this is a great agenda for introducing the MTSS framework. One thing we hear often these days is that our kids are different these days. And as we think about that, we really just want to emphasize what we can do to support our students.
Absolutely. I think really the big takeaway is, we can't change what we get, so we have to change what we give to meet the needs of all of our students.
I agree.